Got me some hydration action going on here. Some hydration.
I know what
Yeah.
you're doing. Some all that this and this action, this and that action. You're just copying the Hodge twins.
It makes me laugh. It's like, oh, get some Popeyes action going on here. Some pedophile action going on here at the Hunter Biden laptop. Just makes just makes me laugh. You put action behind something, makes me laugh. But
Action.
you were watching them when they were fitness people.
Yeah, way back when they first back in like 2010, I started watching them. And that's all they did. Well, they also did some they had twin muscle workout and that's the channel I found them on, but they also had a Hodge Twins channel where they just talked about like current events and comedy.
You
But
see,
they weren't like they weren't stand-up comedians yet or anything. They were just blowing up on YouTube.
we were too poor to have internet in 2010.
Well, it was on my phone,
I didn't
but
have a phone
I
in
think we probably
2010.
had I got my first phone I
I
think probably in sixth grade.
I got my first phone about 3 weeks after we graduated high school. I bought it with the money that I got as a gift at graduation, and it was a track phone, an LG triple minutes when I that you go buy at Dollar General. Bought it for 50
Oh
bucks.
yeah, that's I remember now because it was impossible to contact you outside of
That's why I
school.
created that's why I created the website so that we could stay in contact.
I had a phone since sixth grade. Um, my first phone was a Motorola Sliver, one of the silver ones, the old ones that didn't. I couldn't even text when I first got it.
I didn't like texting when I got my phone because you had to
It
push the
sucks, yeah.
push the button and to make the button move. I was able to get it to change to where I could have like a keypad where I could do that, but my fingers were so fat and the buttons were so small. Even though it was touchscreen, I actually still have that phone and it still works.
The thing.
It's indestructible. It's like the original Game Boy. It will never die.
My first mm, my first phone that had a keyboard was a BlackBerry Torch. That's the one I had in high school, mostly.
I never had a BlackBerry.
But
Uh,
those keys were so small. I don't really have the problem where I don't my fingers really aren't fat, but they're really long. They're like long spindly fingers. So
You got the
holding that
fingers
phone was
that people are afraid of. I see. I have short, stubby fingers. I mean, my fingers aren't super fat, but I've got my fingers are just stubby. I have I've always been told that my hands are not very characteristic of men. Like I I guess maybe because I don't do a whole bunch of physical labor, but even when I worked out all the time, my hands were always so smooth.
you never get calluses from the bars. Did you use gloves?
I didn't start using gloves until I started fighting, but for the most part, I didn't use gloves. My hands just stayed really smooth.
I used
Okay.
weight gloves and I still got calluses from the barbells.
See, I never purchased weight gloves. I used my training gloves, my sparring gloves, which were about 2 pounds each, and they had gel on the what would you call these here?
The pads, I don't know.
Yeah, I guess the pads,
Knuckle pads.
the nubbles, the nubbles. I just want to call them.
I don't know. That's your palm pads. I don't know.
From henceforth, these shall be called nubbles,
Pad.
because
That reminds me of something.
these are knuckles and
This
these are
tattoo
nubbles.
right here, it goes into the pad of my thumb. Imagine what that would feel like. It was
Feels
a
like
pick poke too. It's just my last name, but it goes into the pad. Dude, that hurts so bad. It's so sensitive right there. Just poke, poke, poke.
See, I have no graffiti upon my body.
You can imagine how it would hurt though, because that's a real sensitive part of your body.
Yes,
the
I could
pad.
imagine because I just had my stitches removed and
Oh yeah, that from a
they
super sensitive spot.
from right around my nipple and
Yeah.
they don't put lidocaine in there when they're taking it out.
That's
And I'm like, I thought she was gonna cut my nipple off. It was burning. Like it
yeah.
hurts, but it,
Yeah, I could
there's
definitely imagine what that would feel like.
and
I
then
didn't feel this at all.
you know what, they didn't get everything out because it was it was so tight that they had put them in there. So like a couple nights ago, I was just sitting here with my shirt off. I was at work and I was bored waiting for a new call to come in. I'm sitting here messing with my nipple and I feel something here. And then so I get my, I don't, I always keep my fingernails really, really short. And so I grab them and I go right there and I pull out remnants of the suture that they used to stitch me because they didn't get everything up because they used black suture, so they couldn't really see when they're pulling it out of me. And it was like, my gosh, they told me that it wouldn't hurt get it pulled out. I'm like, it didn't. I mean, I guess because I was numbed, probably because I was numbed and still full of adrenaline when I went to get the stitches in, that I didn't feel anything when they put the stitches in, just the tugging because of the lidocaine. Even when I had the hole in my chest, I still didn't really feel anything. It was just kind of like a slight burn. But when they pulled those stitches out, because the stitches were the problem. I had no pain from the actual cut. The stitches just they kept itching, and everything that touched them pushed into my skin, and it was so irritating and annoying. And then when they pulled it out, I was like, it feels like you're gonna pull my nipple off. And they had really, really dull scissors. So they had to just reach inside there because the stitchings are really, really tight. And they had to grab the tweezers and pull the stitching up and then stick the scissors in there. And they had to, how when you have dull scissors and you have to really kind of work it to cut. And I had to do that, and that was pulling my skin even more. And it was like, oh God, this is horrible.
So just to be clear, this is streaming to which
Facebook and
platforms?
Facebook and YouTube.
Okay, so this is not being recorded.
It's been recorded when I hit the record button. I haven't hit the record button yet.
Oh.
It's streaming right now, but we always have to give the people that listen to the stream a
So,
little
but
bit
when
more
you
bonus
stream
material.
something, it saves it on the platform, right?
Once I when I pay for Restream, it will save everything to Restream. I will be able to record everything on Restream. Just like when I used to use StreamYard, I used to pay for StreamYard. Every time that I did something, StreamYard recorded it, and I had the archives right there, and it was always there. And so when I do it with StreamYard, it will be the same way, where I'll have all of the recordings there. Everything will be archived.
Okay.
Now it's time to start the actual show. Good day, everyone, and welcome to the Story of America with me, your host, Andrew Pace, and Rhett Williams. Today on Casual Saturdays, this is episode 42, 43, something. I don't know. It's in the 40s.
We're gonna have to
Picking
go through and rename the episodes on Anchor. I can do that later.
Yeah, I think we got like a total of 95 episodes. No, maybe not.
I'll come up with a uniform way to title the episodes and then just change it.
Yeah. Hydration. Hydration action.
Yeah,
You
I
staying
drink water
hydrated?
just so habitually. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I never get dehydrated.
I get dehydrated. I used to live alone. Most of my time I live alone. But I used to live alone. Um, and I was so, I guess because I was working a lot and I was cooking, I was eating, I was definitely eating, but I had this horrible headache all day while I was at work. And I told my boss, like, look, the guys say they got music playing in the back there while they're working in the back of the truck. And I'm over at my desk trying to do paperwork, and I'm like, boss, my head's hurting so bad I can't do the music. So I did all my job in the break room that day, and it was so horrible that when I went home and I laid down, oh, the throbbing in my head, it was just horrible. And turns out, I don't know, I still to this day don't know what happened to me. Because I went to the doctor, they swabbed me for COVID, they swabbed me for strep, and they swabbed me for flu, and didn't have COVID, didn't have strep. They never told me whether or not I had flu or not, and they never gave me any real medicine. But I had a fever of 108, and I was completely dehydrated. They had put me on an IV drip just to get water into me, just to get me hydrated. And my body, I had collapsed. I was in a state of delirium. I've never had a fever where I was delusional, but this one I was delirious because I was in the bed, and I felt like I was sinking into the bed on 16 pillows, and I only had two.
You
And
weren't drinking water?
I guess not. I thought I was. I thought I was drinking enough because I keep I always go to the store, buy a 24 pack of water, and I drink like 3 of those a day.
Yeah, that's not enough. But that's still enough to keep you from getting that dehydrated. That sounds like something else. Because in order to get to that point with dehydration, you have to just not be drinking water for like 2 or 3 days, like no water at all. That sounds like something else.
But ever since 2016, when I got back from San Antonio, because in San Antonio, I went over there to stay with my dad. Uh, First time really meeting him, or really second time meeting him. Uh, Went over there to go stay with him, and I did not like it. I felt uh, I wasn't eating very much, wasn't drinking very much, um, and it was really stressful time for me. And so as soon as I got back, I got back on my birthday, November 22nd at 4 o'clock in the morning after a 16-hour bus ride, and and I couldn't sleep. I could not go to sleep, so I was over at my aunt's house. We watched Lights Out. We watched Lights Out, that horror movie, which is really good horror movie. I don't really watch horror movies, but I liked that one. The idea of every time the lights go off, the creature can only move in the dark, and if the lights come on or you shine light on her, it burns her because she's had a light allergy, and she had a light allergy so badly that the doctors tried to cure her light allergy by exposing her to light, but it kind of disintegrated her body, and she became a disfigured spirit that can only exist in the shadows. And she developed a friendship with this patient that was over there, and they thought she was crazy because she thought, she was seeing things, but she wasn't seeing things. It was all she was That spirit was always there. It followed her to her home during while the lights were off, and so she always had to have the lights off so that the spirit would be able to enjoy life, and she would kill anybody that tried to separate her from her friend. And it was a really nice horror movie, really fun horror movie to watch. And that's from a guy who doesn't like horror movies. But
Yeah, I don't.
but I was sitting in my chair, my rocking chair, because I love a lazy boy. I don't know about you, but I love a lazy boy. I love to rock in a recliner. And I had my dog Polo. He jumped up there, and we slept, and we laid there and we tried to sleep because I was waiting on my aunt to come pick me up to go to Hattiesburg for the week, like I always do every Thanksgiving. I go to Hattiesburg for a week, and I went up there, and for the first time in the history of my life, I did not eat on Thanksgiving Day. Nothing. I didn't eat anything for 7 days. I couldn't eat anything. I had no appetite. I couldn't drink anything. I couldn't sleep. My body just collapsed on itself. But my back felt like it was on fire. I couldn't move. The only thing I could drink was this juice that my granny was giving me. And she tried so hard because she thought the juice was giving me actual nutrients. But when we looked at the nutrients facts on the back of the bottle after I got better, turns out that there were no nutrients in the juice. It was just flavored water with a food coloring to make it look like it was juice. And they tried everything to help me get some sleep. Melatonin, um, you know, different types of vitamins and stuff. And for like 6 days, I didn't sleep, I didn't eat, I didn't drink. Only that juice that wasn't really juice. And on like the seventh day, my god sister, she comes down, and they have her go to the store and buy some ZQuil and some Tylenol PM. I took 4 ZQuil and 2 Tylenol PMs, and after about 6 hours, those finally kicked in, and I went to sleep for the first time in like 6 or 7 days.
Could have
And then
been
when
that, or it could have been the fact that you were so sleep deprived that your body just gave up.
and then when I woke up the next day, everything was better. I could eat, I could drink, I could sleep, I could walk. My pains were gone. But ever since that day, at least once a year, it happens to me where my body just gives out. In 2017, I was living by myself. My body just gave out again. I don't know what from. In 2018, in March, if I remember correctly, I wasn't taking care of myself as much as I should have at that particular time. I didn't cook every day. I was eating things that were easy to cook. A can of ravioli, a one of those, instant noodle cups. I would just put that in the microwave. I'd go to work, come home, pop in some ravioli, pop in a noodle cup, eat that, drink some water or some Pepsi. And then, but this one particular day, I was feeling really, really sick all day at work. And then when I got home, my neighbor, he invited me over for some baked chicken, and we were going to play some games. And so I walked over there and was eating the chicken, and I'm like, I'm really just not feeling it. So I said, you know what, I'm going to pack my chicken up. I'm going to go back to the house. And as soon as I went to the house, I got into bed, and my body collapsed on me again. And I'm laying there, unable to move. My heart feels like it stopped, and I'm just kind of there in limbo. Give me one. But yeah, and so uh felt like my heart stopped, like, it's just like a deep, big sinking, and then my body just kept shaking, and I couldn't move, I couldn't do anything. Uh, so I finally, crawled myself out of bed and took some ibuprofen, and I just kept on shaking until about 6 o'clock in the morning when the shaking finally stopped. And then I got up and went to work at 7. And then it happened again in 2019, and then it happened again in 2020. Was the one when I went to the hospital for it, was the one I was talking about, where they had put me on the IV drip because I was dehydrated, I had a high fever, and that was in December of 2020. And I still to this day don't know what the cause of any of that is. They never told me. And so I'm very, I have to keep up on making sure that I'm hydrated. I make sure that I eat enough, because if I don't, I'll be back in the same area again. And since I live alone, you know, and if I my heart stops on me again, well, who's to say it won't start beating again? So I have to try to stay hydrated and everything. I don't want that stuff like that to happen again. So
Yeah,
uh
and you know what I am? You know how most people have the urge to not eat while they're sick? But I actually think that there might be a benefit to that because I think for me at least, fasting has been curative in a way. Like, for example, at one point I had a lipoma, a fatty cyst on one of my rib on this side. And those, they say, they're benign, they're not harmful or anything, but the only way they can be removed is by surgery. But the last time I got in shape and I was doing intermittent fasting, that's how I did it. And it went away and it hasn't come back. So I do think that fasting can be useful in helping some. Now, in some cases, you need to eat, but
you see, I also believe in fasting, but for me, I do fruit fasting because I feel like a guy my size of my metabolism, I cannot fast in a normal way that other people will. My body will eat itself alive. And I guess the way that this all started for me was my grandmother. When I was younger, she always used to say that I'm eating up all of the food and we never have this and that. And I'm like, I get so tired of people telling me that I'm eating up everything when I'm just eating because I'm hungry. And so, in order for her to stop accusing me of things, I just stopped eating. I would not eat anything in the house if she didn't cook. And so I just wouldn't eat until she said food was ready, and I wouldn't eat anything. If what I ate at school was what I had to eat that day. And then it got even worse when I started working. When I started working, this was my first year of college, or second year of college. Uh, started working, and I whatever I ate at lunch that day was often the only thing that I ate for the entire day because I didn't want to have to worry about hearing my grandmother's mouth. And so I just wouldn't eat anything. And I guess that's kind of what started my body off because I used to be able to put food away, a lot of food, but my stomach has shrunken so much to where I used to be able to eat, 3 or 4 portions of food a day and in one sitting. So a lot of times I can barely finish one portion nowadays, which I suppose might be good in its own right because it means I can survive on less considering the time period that we're in right now. Um, but ultimately, I think that's where it all started for me. And a guy with my metabolism going without eating, you pointed it out to me that my workout routine was so intense, and my small frame and my high metabolism, I was burning away any gains that I would have got.
have you ever tried to figure out what your average like calories burned in a day are? Have you ever counted calories to try to find out?
Nah. And I never even gave thought to figure out how to do that.
Well, the only real way to do it is just by calculating your, like, writing down what you eat or how the calories that you take in over a week or two and get on the scale and see if there's a change at the end of that time. So if you go up in weight, then you're over. And if you go down, then you're eating less than you should. You can calculate it online with a
See,
calculator, but that's not accurate for everyone.
I don't even know if that will if that works for me, because I mean I'm pretty sure it has to work,
It's a
but
physical impossibility for it
like
not to.
for me, my weight has been very consistent even when I'm not eating. I never get lower than 133. I never get higher than 148. That's high as I've ever been. And for the last several years, my weight has been stuck at 135, 135, 136.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but you have to abide by the laws of physics just like anybody else.
Now, when I was working out a lot, when we were in high school and I was in gym, weightlifting all the time, and and when I was in first year of college and I was working out all the time, I had Burleson as my gym partner. Burleson said I pushed him too hard, and he stopped going with me. But that's the heaviest I've ever been. I was at 148 pounds, 148.5 pounds exactly. That's the heaviest I've ever been.
And you're what, 5'9", 5'10"?
About 5'9" and a half, 5'8", 5'9" and a half, somewhere around there.
If you honestly, and you also have a small frame, so really, if you could get up to 160, you would look huge.
I've been trying for so long.
You know what? If you actually keep track of the protein intake and the calorie intake, you could do it. Otherwise, you'd have to, use performance enhancing drugs.
Some alternatives.
I mean, if all else fails, that works. Have you ever gotten your testosterone levels checked?
No.
You might want to see if you can do that, because you might need, hormone replacement therapy.
I might make my baldness go faster.
Not if you're not taking, well, if you take super physiological doses, it might, if it's genetic. But if you're not taking, like, if, for example, if you have lower testosterone levels than you should, if you did hormone replacement therapy, then that would just get you up to where you need to be, natural. But you'd have to get tested to find all that out. There's some sites online that do it.
When I go do blood testing and stuff, I have found that for the most part, I'm normal, but I'm on the low side of normal for everything. My iron count is normal, but it's extremely low. My heartbeat is normal, but it's like one beat away from being dead. They say,
be more specific there, because
what I mean by it is for a person my size, the average amount of heartbeats that a person should have is between 66 and 100 heartbeats.
Well, that's for everybody. That's 60, between 60 and 100 resting is normal for everybody.
My heartbeat is consistently like 63.
My resting heart rate's like 50.
So like I'm on the low side, and like
sometimes when I'm sleeping, my resting heart rate will be 48.
And my blood pressure, I guess maybe that's my temperament, but my blood pressure is consistently very low. Like my blood pressure is normally 101 over 66.
Yeah, that is pretty low. That's hypotension. My blood pressure is lower than normal, but it's still healthy.
When my number gets above 112, my eye starts to twitch.
Yeah, 130 over 80, or 130 over 120 over 80 is normal. So 112 over whatever shouldn't make your eyes twitch. I think mine is like 115 over 65 or something like that.
Like I get to 112. When I get to 125, at least according to my heart monitor that I used to do when I used to do it for points, because I would convert that into points for my flexible spending account. And when I get to like 125 over 70 something, it would always say that I'm in hypertension zone.
That's not hypertension though.
That's what the heart monitor would say.
It was lying.
But I mean, just physiologically, I could notice that whenever I get up to a certain level, this side of my face starts to twitch, goes numb. The left side of my face, the right side of my face doesn't do it because the blood vessel that's right here is it's already dead. It doesn't throb. Like I can feel my heartbeat through this blood vessel. This blood vessel, nothing, because it
Mm.
doesn't do anything.
The only I this is right here where I can feel it. But if I'm like exercising or something, I can feel it like right here on my temple.
I can consistently feel it right here.
That's weird.
Like the vein, because I have huge veins, and so right here underneath my left eye, I can consistently feel my heartbeat.
I mean, I have I can't feel my heartbeat in just veins. Like on my arm, I have plenty of veins that I can't feel it in any of those. I can only feel it here,
I
like
can
where my jugular is.
I can't feel my I can't feel it on my wrist like everybody else, the pulse.
Yeah, I can't do that
My,
either.
my neck. Yeah, I can feel it here.
Yeah, because it's the freaking huge artery.
And I can feel it there, but I have like huge veins. Like whenever I'm up like this, my veins my veins are like this thick around on my arm. On my leg, they're like that. And I got like tree trunks for veins.
You know, when I get down to like I'm like 179 right now. And so when my veins start showing back up, like usually they start showing up on my arms around like 200. But in other places, like on my legs or wherever, and I'm not used to seeing them, sometimes I look and I'm just like, I start freaking out because I'm like, what is that? But yeah, I'm kind of, there's one that's like pokes out right here, right there. And I couldn't even tell it was a vein at first. I was freaking out. I was like, is this a blood clot? But
You know,
it's been there for so long, it's got to be a vein because it feels like one.
it used to scare me because I used to work out a lot. And so when I'm curling and I get these huge veins right here on my arms, like it looks like those those old horror video games like Resident Evil or something, when you see the cut scenes and like the alien or whatever it is will get inside their body and you can see it moving through their arms or something like that. That's what it looked like. I'm looking at my arms and like it's like something's crawling through there, but it's just my veins. I'm sitting there lifting, curling, and my veins are just huge. They're like everywhere. And I'm like, on a big guy, sure, they're supposed to be veiny. On a guy my size, you're not supposed to notice my veins.
I mean, I don't think that's necessarily true. I mean, if you have low enough body fat, it's normal. It's,
I mean, I guess I have like, I don't know. I would assume that my body fat ratio is probably like somewhere around 8%.
oh, it's probably like 10. I mean, every person looks different at different body fat percentages, but I'll probably between 10 and 8, but
Because I do
8% is like bodybuilding show ready, like completely unhealthy.
I do the pinch test, which is not the most accurate test, but it's a pretty good measure. And when I do the pinch test, I get nothing. Like my
Yeah, that's why
skin.
the calipers aren't really, there's no accurate way to measure. The best way is just somebody who's an expert at that kind of thing, just evaluating. That's probably the most accurate.
But I do that when I do the pinch, my skin has like zero elasticity. And I know this is supposed to be a G-rated show, but I can tell that my fat content has decreased because when I'm taking a shower, and it used to creep me out because I didn't know what it was. But when I started working out, I figured out what it was. My buttocks has stretch marks all over it because it's shrinking. My upper thigh is shrinking. I have stretch marks nowhere else on my entire body, just my upper thigh and my buttocks.
I
But
got stretch marks everywhere, mostly on my stomach. A lot of them came from gaining a whole bunch of weight really quick by drinking every day, and they don't go away. Obviously, I have some like on my
oh
arm,
yeah,
and
oh yeah, you used to drink alcohol pretty often. I remember you know, you were the second person I ever drank vodka with, you and Keyshawn. And I hate vodka.
I mean, I honestly hate all alcohol. I just drank to get drunk.
I drink for taste. I'm
I
very
just, I don't, I think it's all horrible.
I'm very different. Well, I drink very specific brands. I'm more of a wine drinker than I am a a scotch or a whiskey drinker. But everything that I drink, it has to have taste. And I'm very snobbish by taste. It has to have a certain degree of sweetness and a certain degree of tartness for me to enjoy it. And when it comes to mixed drinks, like when it comes to white alcohols, I found that I am uh more likely to enjoy a rum mixed with with some type of cream. A banana rum cream is one of my favorite ones. I love that. It tastes like a banana milkshake. Um,
You know what? There's this one called, damn, I can't remember what it's called, but it tastes like cinnamon toast crunch. It's some kind of liqueur.
a rum Charlie tastes kind of like cinnamon toast crunch.
No, it's a specific brand. I'm trying to think.
You got some feedback in your microphone there. It's kind of like you might want to check your bottom wire. It might be rubbing against something. Yeah, that's better.
Yeah, it's a specific brand. I'm trying to remember. I mean, honestly,
I absolutely, I'm very particular. I went drinking with James. We went out to the bar. My second time going to a bar, and I went with James, and we had some drinks, and James wanted me to do a shot of Fireball, and I'm very particular.
I used to drink Fireball all the time.
I hate Fireball, and the reason why is because I am of the opinion that strong seasons like cinnamon, garlic, anything that has a distinct odor should be in the background. You should be able to taste it once you've swallowed, not when you put it in your mouth.
Yeah,
So
Fireball is super strong.
the
That
the, the
cinnamon.
fireball is just overwhelmingly
It
cinnamon.
tastes like one of those red hot. Uh,
Exactly. One of those red hots or the
yeah,
red gum.
yeah, big red.
Yeah.
I used to really like it, but man, after a certain point, it just gets nauseating.
Yeah. And that's why I don't do the fireballs anymore. The fireballs, the candy, not the alcohol. I never drank the alcohol because I knew when I smell it, because like I said, I'm a snob when it comes to the alcohol, because what I do, I pour it. I look, I, I mean, this is really strange, but I'm actually particular about the viscosity of the alcohol. If it's too runny, I don't want it. If it's a rum or an alcohol or a whiskey, something that's dark, if it's too runny, if it runs like water, I don't want it. It needs to be slow, slightly slow to pour. And I smell I smell it for quite a while because I let mine air out. Some people put theirs in a decanter and let it air out. I just let it air out in the glass over time. I bring it to room temperature after, I put the ice in there and I bring it to room temperature. But I
Dude, none
smell
of
it.
that stuff, man. I know. I
I
just
s-
honestly, all I ever cared about was getting drunk, and that's it.
it takes me like 3 hours to drink one glass. So, but when I'm drinking wine, it's different because I know what I like to drink, because I've drinking enough wines to know what I like to drink. And so I can pour my wine and I can be done with 3 bottles and the time that would take me to drink. one glass of whiskey. But with my whiskeys, I have to smell it. I have to taste it.
Or
I
just
have
turn the bottle up and drink.
I have to look at the viscosity. If it smells like vapor rub, I can't drink it. If it smells like rubbing alcohol, throw it in the trash. That's cheap garbage. Don't buy any cheap alcohol. Taka vodka, that stuff is rubbing alcohol. No, but nobody should ever
Dude,
drink that.
when all you care about is getting like, dude, I used to drink multiple fifths a day. I used to drink a fifth every night by myself. It's insane.
The brand that I started out with was Wild Turkey American Honey. That was my entry brand into alcohol, into whiskey. And it has a very sweet taste. It's thick because of the honey that's in there. So that's when I say I'm watching the viscosity, I'm watching it. Darker alcohols should pour slower than clearer alcohols. Uh, and so I'm very, very particular about it. And if I'm drinking a vodka, the vodka, it should not smell like alcohol. It should not smell like rubbing alcohol. And it should not have a odorless smell either. There should clearly be an odor, but it must not smell like rubbing alcohol. If it smells like rubbing alcohol, you've got the wrong vodka. I'm very picky. And James is the same way about beer. I don't know how anybody could drink beer. That stuff is horrible. It's piss water.
Yeah, there's no such thing as a good beer.
And he tried to get me to drink a Guinness, and so I drank it. It was horrible. It was better than Bud Light, but it was still clearly piss water.
I just don't believe people when they say they like the taste of beer. I can't believe that.
They say it's an acquired taste, but clearly beer drinking from the tap is better than beer that's been processed.
I don't have an opinion about that. It's just
I mean,
I didn't like going to bars either. I hated it. I just wanted to drink at home by myself.
I don't like bars because I don't like people. I feel you're the same way. Uh, but
I have to be, I have to be in the, I don't know. I don't like clubs either. I just don't like big gatherings.
I don't do clubbing either. I hate clubbing. I don't understand the need for it. Some people like it. I don't understand what you gain by spending the entire night on Bourbon Street. I don't understand it.
You don't gain anything, but you lose a lot.
Yes, yes, you do. But I just don't I just can't get it. Me personally, I'm very vain, as we said before the show started. I'm very vain. So I do not like to be in an area in which somebody can see me drunk. I know I'm in full control of my actions while I'm drunk, but I don't want anybody to have a conversation with me while I'm able to slur my speech. Because as I said to you before, I am uh, not a great orator, not very gifted with the art of public speaking, and so I don't like for people to encounter me if I'm not able to speak properly. I don't want anybody to see me in a drunken stupor. I'm very vain about how I appear in public. And not just of myself, I judge everybody based off of my standards for how one person should look in public spaces.
I don't know if I judge everybody based on how I think. I don't really think I pay that much attention unless somebody stands out as like, though this person's clearly making a fool of themselves, and everybody agrees on that most of the time. I don't really bother myself with how other people act in public.
I don't bother it bothers me. Like I hate to see people sagging in public. Absolutely hate
Yeah,
sagging.
I mean,
Absolutely.
I just don't care that much.
I absolutely hate sagging. I hate people who wear skinny jeans. I think it's ridiculous. Give your balls some space to breathe. I
So
hate
I don't care what other people wear or do. It doesn't bother me.
I hate
I care
people.
what I do, but I don't care what other people
I hate people that wear their belts but still sag. I don't understand the purpose of having a belt on if you're going to sag.
Well, it's because you're trying to think about it like there's a purpose to it. It's just it's a style choice for them.
And
It looks stupid, but
you
that's
want
what they.
you know the one dressing style that pisses me off the most is these people that will go through any length to buy clothing that is ripped and has holes in it. I mean, you mean to tell me you're gonna go spend $200 on a pair of jeans that have holes in them? It like I'm like it blows my mind that people will be so stupid.
Again, it's a style choice. I mean,
Like
I understand
whenever
why you think that way, but it's just like if it's somebody, if it's on someone else's body, why should I care?
I agree with you, but to me, it comes off as delinquentism.
Why do I care if they're delinquent? It's not me.
And then I'm also very, very picky about public displays of affection. I hate it.
Why do you care?
I just don't think it's appropriate in public spaces.
You, is it your public space? No.
In all public spaces, I hate it. I don't think that the most that I think is acceptable in public spaces are handshakes and hugs, regardless of sex or sexuality.
I think you just care too much.
I,
I
I
mean,
mean,
it's honestly none of your business. So
yeah, that's why I never say anything to anybody. But I'm just saying, it rubs me the wrong way when I see it.
that just seems like an extra thing to worry about.
Like, I mean, clearly, I have my things that bother me that don't bother other people, but it bothers me.
It's not that, it's just like it doesn't matter if it bothers me or not. But if it's something that doesn't matter whether it bothers me or not, then I don't let it bother me. Like if it when it comes to other people in public,
Oh,
I just don't care.
I get particularly bothered by it if it's somebody black doing it. It pisses me off even more because it makes me look bad,
How does it make you look bad?
because it makes us look like delinquents. I mean, look, I
Nobody
have these
thinks anything about you based on what someone else is doing.
I have
You're
these
just looking at it through a
conversations.
racial lens. Like, it's not about you. Just
No,
because you
I
happen to share a skin tone with them doesn't mean that it reflects badly on you.
see. I have these conversations with black people all the time, and they always blame white people for the current state of affairs in black culture. And I'm always of the opinion that we have the absolute power to change to change the stereotype of black people by just stop subscribing to the stereotype and promote good quality uh habits in the community. And I always get the blowback. Oh no, uh the white people, they came in and they did this and that, and this is why we're in the culture. And if we try to do better, the white people will just come back and Black Wall Street, and they'll
See, that's the problem.
put GMOs in the
This
food.
is
And
this is what I see, even on the black conservative side, is the tendency of just black people in general to think of everything from a group based mentality. Like we got to have black this and black that and black only panels and all this stuff. You're thinking of it from a perspective of groupthink. And that's on, even with the black conservatives, like I said, you're putting yourselves together as this community when no other, like most other groups don't typically do that unless they're in their own countries.
see, I think there's a reason being in this country is because black people have decided to separate themselves from everything. They make everything so racialized. And so what I
That's
try
what
to
I'm
do
saying.
what I try to do is I try to say, well, if you say that all of these problems are caused by the racial stereotype, stop conforming to the stereotype. And then they say, well, that won't work because the white people will just make another stereotype of us. I'm like,
And
well,
you know, you've met
then
people
what the
like
fuck is the
this
point?
in their individual lives. The Black community as a whole is like that person that you meet that refuses to take any kind of personal responsibility. And as a result, their lives are horrible.
Yes. And they refuse to acknowledge that. It's always time to defer the blame onto other people. And then Christian Black people are the worst because there's like, well, we just have to we just have to give it to God, give it to God. I'm like, okay, give it to God. But God also says you have to put in some work too. He can solve your problems, but if you aren't willing to meet him where your problem needs to be solved, it will never get solved. He's just not
That's
going to
really
he's just
the
not going
first
to
step.
throw equality down from the heavens down to you. You have to be willing to go to it. It's like saying that, well, I got cancer, so I'm going to pray for God to cure my cancer, but don't go to the doctor that has to cure the cancer. God clearly provided you the cure through the doctor, but you're waiting for
Yeah.
God to send an angel down to stir up the water and so you can go bathe in the pool of Siloam. This doesn't happen anymore.
I think that's a big problem with a lot of people that think everything that God does is supposed to be supernatural, but don't actually recognize the ways that he works in the world through other people, which is exactly the same. It just requires you to take some action.
Yeah, and that's why I was talking about the science of alchemy is the science of God. And the entire reason why I say you cannot separate science from religion, you cannot separate science from God, because he created science for us to be able to use to solve our own problems. Because we are the author of the vast majority of our own problems. So he gave us a way to fix our own problems. I would think that would be a fair summation of what science is supposed to be all about.
That's technology. I think science is about trying to understand how things work, or how the universe, how the world, how, like math, for example, is the language of how, numbers don't exist, but they exist, but it's a mental construct. Science is like that. It's a mental construct that we came up with to understand how things work. And the reason why it's logical and it makes sense is because there's obviously an intelligence behind it. It doesn't make sense otherwise.
And it only makes sense because we all agree to it. Mathematics only works because we agree behind the meaning of what one means. If we did not define things as such, then there would be no meaning. And that's the reason why I hate people that continue to create these new words. There are lots of things that bother me. And me and Burleson, we're very similar when it comes to our pet peeves or things that grind our gears, so to speak. I hate people who abbreviate words that have no reason to be abbreviated. Like, for example, people that call their significant others bae instead of babe,
Yeah, I hate that too.
as if it was so necessary to eliminate the B.
Well, it's not to shorten it. It's just because
It sounds
I don't
stupid.
know. I think I'm pretty sure it came from like ghetto culture.
I don't even know where it came from, because I never heard it in ghetto culture until this new wave of degeneracy and the music started showing up. And now they run around here saying WAP, which came from that Cardi B song talking about wet ass pussy, and they have children dancing to this song and running around here using that as if it's something that's supposed to be good.
I didn't know that's where it came from.
Yeah, that's
I
where it comes from.
I hate stuff like, I don't necessarily have a problem with people making up new words, because that's how language is in the first place. It's fluid. It changes. I might not like the word, but that's the nature of language. It's not static. It never stays the same. But
Well,
I do think some of the
what's Well, say for
Some of the
instance,
words are stupid.
cisgender. What the fuck does cis even mean?
Well, you know what it means. It means not trans. But
No,
the fact that we need
according
that,
to them, it doesn't mean not trans. According to them, they can't even agree on a definition of it. They say that the definition of it is that it means that you identify with the gender in which you were born, or
the gender which you were identified as at birth.
yeah, whatever. And
That means not trans.
then they come up with pansexual and asexual, which
Well, asexual has always been a thing.
they've changed the definition of asexual now. It's now a sexuality. But pansexual doesn't. I mean, pan doesn't really make any sense in the sense that it just means, oh, you're attracted to a person by their personality.
It's the same thing as bisexual. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah, and so they just keep making up words that have no reason to be made. I don't have a problem with a new word if it can be agreed upon by everybody, but these other people that just make up words and abbreviate things that have no reason to exist bothers me. It ruins the human language, in my opinion.
Well, there's not one human language, obviously. And I have a feeling that some words that even that we don't like are still going to persist into the next iteration of English, no matter what, because not everybody's going to like all the new words. But yeah, I think a lot of it's ridiculous. Yeah, and sometimes you make up a word for something that doesn't even exist. It's a word, but there's nothing behind it.
Yeah, like for example, I can understand compound words that we make up compound words because it's the best way to explain it. Like for example, metaphysical. It never really existed as a word, but now we've taken it and made it into a word by attaching meta to physical to give it a newer meaning, to make it easier for us to talk about things that exist within a different physiology or law of physics than what we normally would. I mean,
meta is just a Greek word that means like beyond or above.
Yes. So it makes
lends itself. There's a lot of those Greek words that we use as prefixes to explain what we're talking about.
Yeah, it makes sense when you do things like that. But when you attach cis to gender, and we're saying that cis means to not identify as to identify with what you are identified with at birth or whatever it is, then that becomes a word that is only applicable to gender, and therefore you cannot use it as a prefix. You have to create a completely different word, because you cannot separate that word from the prefix from gender and apply it to something else. It would not work. It would not function as a word.
Man, these headphones are giving me a headache.
You should get some that cover the entire ear instead of pushing on the side of your ear.
Ah, that hurts.
Or you should do what I do. I plug mine up into my speaker, and sometimes I just pop it down right here on my neck, and I can hear everything that you say. But I feel like we spent the first half of this show talking about nonsense. Before we go on to some of the meat, let's mention this. So we had our meeting today, and we're going to be changing things up on the show from here on. Politics is important to us. It's very important to us. It's very important that you all get information that is political, and that you can be able to utilize us as an accurate source of information. However, we don't want this to be a political show. We don't want this to be a news show. We will have politics on here whenever it presents itself to be important enough for politics to be necessary. like for example, the stuff happening with Mar-a-Lago and the FBI. Those things are important discussions for us to have because it's so unprecedented that it has to be talked about. And we're going to continue to do our news splashes of the week. But politics, we're going to dial that back because politics is, in our modern time, it's not as exciting to talk about politics as it is when we're going back and looking at the history of politics. Because as me and Rhett have agreed, there are no brilliant politicians of our era in which we can actually talk about. So we'll be dialing things back on the politics from now on, and we're going to be focusing more on bringing you guys content that we truly enjoy talking about. So from here on, every day, not every day, because we're not going to be producing content every single day. We're gonna still continue to probably do maybe three videos a week, probably. I think that might be accurate. 3 videos a week. It still seems doable. And what we're going to be from now on, we're going to go back to the story format. We're going to create a topic that we find interesting that will bring some life and energy to the topics that we talk about, so that not everything has to be so foreboding and gloomy. Because you guys already know that we're in a horrible shitstorm of current systems of government. And so there's no more reason for us to beat that over the head to you unless we have relevant information to talk about, and which we'll save that for Wednesday, or whatever day we decide to do them if Wednesday becomes unavailable for the news days. So we're also going to start streaming every single episode that we do. It's going to be streaming all the time to YouTube, Facebook, Rumble, and wherever else we can figure out that we can get our stuff streamed. And what we're still going to also keep the podcast format. We have a lot of stuff in phase. We're working out. We're figuring out some things. We're going through a bunch of different dynamics to find out the best ways to grow the audience, the best ways to move this beyond where it is currently. And so we're going to be doing a whole bunch of different projects to keep you guys interested, to keep ourselves interested, to make this more enjoyable for us, because ultimately this is our show. And if we don't enjoy it, we have to change the content. And as of late, because of the foreboding gloominess and darkness of the politics and the frustration that we get when we talk to liberals, or leftists, I shouldn't say liberals, we're going to cut back on a lot of that. And because of the change in my schedule, I'm also cutting back significantly on the amount of time that I appear on other people's shows. And that's going to give us time to divert more energy to making sure that you guys get content that we really enjoy to produce. So with that being said, I think we should go ahead and get started on our topic of today. We're only going to touch on this very briefly because, like I said, we don't really want to make things political, but I have to rant about it a little bit, and Rhett's going to be like, "I told you so." It's like, well, I knew so, but I wanted to give the media an opportunity because they were all like, "Oh, we're going to get."
Wanted to give a liar an opportunity to tell the truth. You always got to leave that contingency there.
The media is always like, "Oh, we're going to get some information. We're going to get some information." So I want to show you guys the information that we got. And for this, I'm going to have to turn my. I'm going to have
We
to
got
turn
so
my.
much, dude. We actually got a lot of information this time.
Oh yeah, we got a shit ton. Rhett had to swallow his own shorts because he was wrong this time.
I was cutting him up with my scissors, trying to eat him.
He was so wrong.
Why did I just say that?
So right here, right here, friends. This is the affidavit to the Donald Trump raid. So let me show you the relevant pieces of information that we received. This is page 1 through 8. 1 through 8. All 1 through 8 really tells you is the legal jargon, the legal bullcrap. The only thing that you have to focus on in these first several pages is page number 3, outlined as bulletin point number 7, which is the source of evidence. And it says the facts set forth in this affidavit are based on my personal knowledge obtained during my participation in this investigation, and information obtained from other FBI and U.S. government personnel. Because this affidavit is submitted for the limited purpose of establishing probable cause in support of the application for a search warrant, it does not set forth each and every fact that I or others have learned during the course of this investigation. That's it. That's really all you need from the first couple pages. Now, everything else that you have here, it's just telling you what USC number 18, what that code actually means. And line number 14, we learn that the FBI went to the same FISA court that they went to before to spy on the Trump campaign during the Russia probe, or actually during his campaign before he became president. We learned that they were spying on him through a FISA application, and we learned that they went to the same FISA court to spy on the president while he was the sitting president of the United States. And we then get under 18 USC number 1519, we get the law. And this here is important because this is what they're going to try to charge Donald Trump with. So under number 19, it's here, it says 32 CFR parts 2001 to 2003 regulate the handling of classified information, specifically 32 CFR 2001 43 titled storage regulates the physical protection of classified information. This section describes the secret and top secret information shall be stored in a general service administration approved security container, a vault built to federal standard, or an open storage constructed in accordance with 2001-53, which is another one of the USC laws. It also requires periodic inspection of the container and the use of an intrusion detection system, among other things. So they outline in points number 20 and 21, the US under 18 USC 1519 and under 18 USC 2071, we see that they said that whoever knowingly alters, destroys, mutilates, conceals, covers up, falsifies, or makes a false entry in any record, document, or tangible object with the intent to impede, obstruct, or influence the investigation or proper administration of any matter within the jurisdiction of any department or agency of the United States, or any case filed under Title 11 in relation to or contemplation of any such matter or case shall be fined under title, imprisoned not more than 20 years, or both. And then it says in USC 2071, whoever willingly or unlawfully conceals, removes, mutilates, obliterates, or destroys, or attempts to do so with the intent to do so, takes and carries away any record, proceeding, map, book, paper, document, or other thing filed or deposited with any clerk or officer or any court of the United States or in any public office or with any judicial or public officer of the United States shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 3 years, or both. And it goes on to say that whoever having custody of any such record, proceeding, map, book, document, paper, or any other thing willfully and unlawfully conceals, removes, mutilates, obliterates, falsifies, or destroys the same shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 3 years or both, and shall forfeit his office and be disqualified from holding any office under the United States as used in this subsection. The term office does not include the office held by any person as a retired officer of the armed forces of the United States. This is the key. They want to get him on section B of 2071. And then it says in under PRA 44 USC 2201, the term presidential records means documentary materials or any reasonable segregable portion thereof created or received by the president's immediate staff, or a unit or individual of the executive office, or the president whose function is to advise or assist the president in the course of conducting activities which relate to or have an effect upon the carrying out of the constitutional, statutory, or other official or ceremonial duties as president. This includes documents, materials related to political activities of the president. It does not include documents, materials, official records of an agency, the United States Code, personal records, stocks of publications or stationaries, extra copies of documents produced for convenience or reference when such copies are clearly so identified. And it goes on to then talk about probable cause, which probable cause starts on page 8. So that's all the information that you really get, folks, because here we go. Let's look at what we can find in probable cause. Okay. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to turn off my background right now. And I want to show you guys probable cause. So this, you know what? I'm going to share. I'm going to share it. So I want you guys to see this. Let me open this up here because I have the file on my computer before they removed our ability to download it. I don't trust the government as far as I can throw them. So I took records of it. And I downloaded it so that we'll be able to see it. So I'm going to share my screen number 2. All right, Rhett, are you seeing this? Did it share? Are you able to see this document here? Okay, I'm just making sure
Yes.
because it didn't pop up the green line like it normally does when I share. So let me go down here to page, starting on page. See here, probable cause. I want everybody to see this. So this is page 8. Okay. So now we're reading or learning some things, we're learning some information. We think we're learning something. This doesn't really tell us anything. I've read over it, doesn't really tell us anything. Okay, so let's go on and see if we can find out any information. Oh, would you look at that? Oh, well, page 9 is clearly so important, it's redacted. Page 10. My gosh, the entire page is redacted. Oh, it looks like according to the CBS Miami article, moving trucks spotted at Mar-a-Lago. Okay, I guess that tells us something. Moving trucks were at Mar-a-Lago. Donald Trump was moving out of the White House. Okay, let's move on. Oh, look, they had a picture, but the picture is also classified information. So the picture's redacted. Oh, look at that. That's redacted. Oh, next page. On May 26th, the NARA made request for missing PRA records. Okay, what were the records? Oh, that's redacted. Oh, next page, completely redacted. Next page, completely redacted. Then we have here, talks about the 15 boxes that Donald Trump provided to NARA. We already knew about that. So we learned nothing there. Redacted. This right here says nothing that we can use. Redacted, redacted, redacted. And here we see that they said, well, we previously indicated that you provide that you do not include a secure location. This is when Donald Trump says to them that they advised that he put a lock on the door, and he put a lock on the door. So this part tells us that he put a lock on the door because they said he didn't have a lock on the door. And they told him, well, under this clause, you need to put a lock on the door. So he put a lock on the door. But you know what? We don't get to see Donald Trump's response because it's redacted. Redacted, 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 redacted. Everything else up until the final page of probable cause is redacted. So I want you guys to understand this. There are 38 pages in this document, and 22 of them are redacted, completely redacted. And really, what we needed to see, which is the probable cause for why they raided Donald Trump's house, that's the part that we needed to see, and that's the part that's completely redacted. Look at this. Just look at it. I sent this to Rhett, and he says he knew it was going to be redacted, but he'd never seen where the entire page was blacked out before. Not just the entire page, the entire section of the document that outlines why they needed to go raid the president's house. And see, and this is why we decided to switch gears from just talking politics, because I don't know about you, Rhett, but this pisses me off. I was want to say something else, but I'm trying not to curse as much as I used to. But this pisses me off to a degree that I cannot describe in words without using a couple of F-bombs. And then we look down here on page number 29, really page number 30, the conclusion, based on the foregoing facts and circumstances, I submit that probable cause exists to believe that evidence, contraband, fruits of crime, or other items illegally possessed in violation of this code, which I remind you, they told him to put a lock on the door, as they explained earlier on page number 10. Will be found at the premises, and I further submit the affidavit supports probable cause for the search warrant. And then they went to a magistrate, not even a judge, a magistrate, who had to recuse himself from a Donald Trump case 2 weeks earlier, because he had so much hatred in his heart for Donald Trump that he deemed that he was not able to participate because he didn't feel like he would be fair to Donald Trump. So then the request for sealing, this is interesting. The FBI didn't think it was important enough for them to redact why they requested that it be sealed. Doesn't tell us a lot. This goes on to search procedures, but the most important part is that they said that they believe that there will be evidence of obstruction 18 months after the president's moved out. That's so urgent that they think that, well, if we release the information that this is a letter by President Trump's attorney to the presidential records, which I've read the entire entire thing, it outlines that President Trump's executive privilege, and this also outlines underneath here where Joe Biden waives President Trump's executive privilege. We've never seen this happen before in American political history. I'm gonna stop sharing and then turn my screen, my background back on here. I don't even know what background I had going, but I'll find one. Let's just put this one up. I like this one. Looks like I'm in a painting. But I wanted to talk about this a little bit because I feel like I got to rant about it for a moment. I mean, Rhett, you've studied law to a law and constitutionality to a greater degree than I have, and we're both pretty okay in the topic. But for an affidavit, for a warrant that has been released to the public, have you ever in your life seen so many redactions?
No, you know that I haven't. It's law is one of the areas of study that I actually did study in school, paralegal at JD. Otherwise, it was psychology and communication, but that, paralegal is an area that I did some formal studying in. And redactions are supposed to be to maintain the anonymity of places or people, not to hide information.
And
so, no, this is unprecedented, literally.
And so to protect the anonymity of the witnesses or the places involved, well, the place involved is Mar-a-Lago. They did not redact Donald Trump's address in the search warrant that they released.
They might as well have not released anything. In fact, I would think that'd be better than just slapping us in the face with nothing. But they did it. I think they did it intentionally to slap us in the face. Because everybody knows that the FBI is operating like the Gestapo now. Even like 30-something% of Democrats are saying that that's the case.
Yeah, when Homo Cuomo, Andrew Cuomo or Chris Cuomo, I can't remember which one of the Cuomo brothers was the governor, or Homo Cuomo.
Andrew.
That's what we know him by.
Andrew
Cuomo, Big Q-tip Cuomo.
The Cuomos are both disgraced now.
Yeah, especially you have Q-tip Cuomo and you have Alfredo Cuomo.
But that Anderson Cooper and Chris Cuomo have something going on.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And Shepard Smith.
Oh, don't forget to toss in Don Lemonades.
Everybody, dude. I guarantee you he's the next one out at CNN.
Oh, Steltzer's gone.
Yeah,
Humpty Dumpty's out of there.
Don Lemon's they're going to fire everybody, but I don't think they're going to be able to resurrect their credibility though. They're going to try, but it's not going to work.
Discovery Plus has CNN's independent series and stuff on there. I haven't watched any of them. They have a special on Abraham Lincoln. CNN.
Yeah, but it's a CNN documentary, so it's not going to be
so
reliable.
It's not even worth watching.
Yeah, it's probably going to be a bunch of fake news in it.
And heck, if Chris Wallace couldn't survive new CNN, Don Lemon's out. I mean, he's worst journalist of all time. He's got the reigning championship of the amount of rewards that have given that title out to him.
Yeah, well, Chris Wallace thought he was bigger than Fox, and he's not. Yeah, and he's also not he's not his dad either. He's not Mike Wallace, but he thinks he is. He thinks he's better.
And Trump pointed it out to him so much in the debate. But
it's true. He's like a weasel. I think he looks like a weasel. Chris the Weasel Wallace.
A lot of them do look like the animals they embody. Like, for example, Turtleneck Mitch.
Yeah, so slow to get anything done. But sometimes it has worked out in our favor, though.
Hop Frog Soros.
Oh, yeah. He looks like Jabba the Hutt.
It's probably just as corrupt as Jabba the Hutt. Well,
He's
not
definitely a
probably.
Hut. He's from
He's
Hut space.
and then Nancy Pelosi, she looks like Chief Palpatine. She believes she has the power of the government. She believes she is the Senate.
She's not even in the Senate. Why would she think she's the Senate? She's crazy. She really thinks that she's the Senate, but she is not even in the Senate. You know what? I think that I'm trying to figure out who looks like Jar Jar Binks in real life, but I can't figure out.
I'll tell you who looks like Jar Jar Binks in real life. God damn it. AOC. She's got the same bug-eyed, spaced out expression, and it's just as stupid as Jar Jar Binks.
She looks like
she scares the hell out of me.
She looks like a mutated llama. Their teeth.
I was thinking that of Ilhan Omar, actually. Ilhan Omar reminds me of Emperor's Got a New Groove.
I can't picture what she looks like.
And then Rashida Tlaib looks like Miss Piggy. Maxine Waters looks like an elephant's ass.
Now we're just grasping at straws here. We're just trying to figure out who looks like what now.
Low hanging
when you
fruit.
start trying to figure that out, you start getting it wrong. Because Turtleneck Mitch, he is the spitting image of a turtle, dude.
Yes.
There's no way anybody, as soon as you tell somebody that, they'll never be able to unsee it.
Chuck Schumer has a very distinct appearance about him too.
He looks like an earthworm.
Earthworm Jim.
With glasses. Earthworm. Does he even wear glasses? Yeah, he does. Actually, he looks like a mole rat.
Yeah, I can see him.
Some sort of rat. I don't know. I'm a meerkat.
He has this downward thing. I was thinking that he kind of looks like a harpy eagle almost.
Some people really do look bird-like.
Yeah, like his nose even has like a beak-like tint look to it. And since he's always looking down like that.
You remember that picture of Harry Schumer? Harry Reid. Harry Reid wearing an N95 while he's driving.
Yeah.
That, you know what? The interesting thing about Harry Reid is he was super into UFOs. Like he would go to conventions and stuff, but he didn't want anybody to know about it for obvious reasons, because that was back when it wasn't like when you were still crazy if you believed in that stuff, which has always been strange to me because it's like,
Keep talking, I gotta go turn the air on.
I think the journalist, what was his name? George Knapp, the one who legitimized the story of Bob Lazar, the guy who worked at Area 51 on several different crafts, as he said. I think, no, it wasn't George Knapp. It was the Robert Bigelow Aerospace.
Deuce Bigelow?
Robert Bigelow.
Oh, that's you said.
He's a billionaire.
When I hear Bigelow, I think Deuce Bigelow, the European gigolo.
He's the owner of Bigelow Aerospace, and he bought Skinwalker Ranch. But I think it was actually George Knapp, the journalist who brought out the story of Bob Lazar and all that, who was talking about Harry Reid being involved in all this, in trying to learn more about the UFO stuff, because members of Congress, they really don't know anything like about what's going on. They just have to rely on, they pretty much know as a little bit more than we do, but mostly only about the legislation side of things. They don't know about the inner workings of the executive branch at all. They don't have clearance for all that stuff. So,
oh, they know about it now because they're the ones running the scene. At least the Democrat side does.
Well, they had to open an investigation just to learn, because the military has all that. The intelligence agencies, they don't know unless they do an investigation and force them to tell them.
So you're saying Harry Reid has alien characteristics with his mask on.
Isn't he dead?
Who, Harry Reid?
Yeah, and didn't he die?
I don't know. Did he?
Yeah, he's dead. December
Prob-
28th, 2021.
Probably. A lot of them should be dead. You know,
But I don't think Harry Reid was as old as, let's see. At least he freaking retired before he died.
not by much.
But he retired and he had been retired for 4 years. So he was 82. Okay, so he retired when he was 78. Yeah, that's too old.
At Joe Biden's age becoming president.
What's cool, like he was born in Searchlight, Nevada. Searchlight is a town that's actually in Fallout New Vegas that still exists. There's a bunch of those little towns in like small no-name towns in Nevada that no one knows about that are in Fallout New Vegas. That,
You know,
like those, they still
you-
exist after the nuclear.
I think that the town of Nowhere is in Las Vegas, where Courage the Cowardly Dog takes place. It's in Nevada. It's in Nevada. Nowhere, Nevada. I think Courage the Cowardly Dog takes place there. At least I don't think Nowhere is a real place, but in Courage the Cowardly Dog, I think if I
It's
remember correctly,
based on a,
it's based on a place in
I don't see anything
Nevada.
about that. Well,
'Cause
why would it be based on anything? It's just a house in the middle of nowhere.
Because Eustace goes to Las Vegas once and he drives not very far away from the house. But but they also got carried away by a god duck.
Well, there is a little town nearby, isn't there? Oh,
Yeah.
Nowhere, Kansas.
Oh, it was Kansas, not Nevada.
Yeah, it says Nowhere, Kansas.
Nowhere.
I guess that makes sense. I don't think it's a real place, though. I think it's just encouraged.
Creepiest cartoon.
It
Well,
says there's a
not the
crossover film with Scooby-Doo and Courage the Cowardly Dog.
There was a crossover film with a lot of them. Scooby-Doo, Courage, Ed, Ed and Eddie crossed over with Codename Kids Next Door, I think.
I hate Codename Kids Next Door, dude.
What?
I hate that shit.
Is it because you were number 2?
No, I just don't like the show.
What was wrong with the show?
I just didn't like it. I never got into it. It pissed me off. I don't know why. I just didn't like. I guess the art I didn't like. I don't know.
Did it piss you off because you didn't have a tree house?
No,
I didn't have a tree house.
There's nothing. I mean, I suppose we could sit here and try to delve into my unconscious and figure out why I didn't like it. But honestly, it doesn't matter. I just didn't like it.
Yes, let's do that. What's wrong with you, Rhett? Why are you so perturbed by Codename Kids Next Door?
Well, there's a great many things wrong with me, but I have a feeling it's just a matter of I didn't like the show. I don't know why I just didn't like it.
Do you have a prejudice against watermelon head-shaped people? Did you like Hey Arnold growing up, Rhett?
No, I hated it. Maybe that's it.
Do you like Family Guy, Rhett?
No.
So it seems that shows that have watermelon head-shaped protagonists, you tend to have a hatred towards.
Stewie is not the protagonist.
He's part of the main cast.
I think that's a spurious correlation.
I think it is all the correlation that I need to find out that you are discriminatory against watermelons.
I actually don't like watermelons.
I hate
watermelons.
This makes you a racist.
Okay.
I mean, obviously, if you don't like watermelon-shaped head white people, that means you don't like watermelons, which means you don't. I just don't like watermelons.
I don't like the fruit watermelons. I hate them. I like watermelon flavored things, but I don't like watermelons themselves. I think they're too watery and flavorless.
See, you're the exact opposite of me. I love strawberries, but I hate everything strawberry flavored.
I don't know. I mean, I think strawberries are okay, and
Strawberries are my
strawberry flavored things are okay. I mean,
strawberries are my favorite fruit, but I hate everything, especially strawberry flavored ice cream. I hate it.
well, strawberry ice cream is not very good anyway.
Strawberry flavored milk. You know, Noah used to love that crap.
I hate all milk. I don't drink milk.
You're not American.
I don't like tea.
What? I love
Actually,
tea.
I like herbal tea, but I don't like black tea and green. Well, green tea is okay. I just don't like black tea.
Oh,
Like sweet tea, unsweet tea, I don't like that.
You're a racist. Why's it gotta be black? Why can't you drink white tea?
I didn't make them that way, dude. I don't know. It just happens to be the color I don't like.
My God.
I don't know why. I mean, if it was a different color, I still wouldn't like it because it's not the color, it's the taste.
I love all teas, but certain teas require a certain degree of sweetness. You know, black tea, obviously, you have to see Wilford Brittley when you're drinking black tea. Otherwise, it's horrible. Green tea, you have to.
Wilford Brimley?
Yes, you have to see the diabetes.
Diabetes.
Whenever you consume black tea, sweet tea, your vision needs to blur, and Wilford Brittley needs to be whispering into your ear, diabetes.
Dude, one time I actually ate the first time I ever ate this many donuts in one sitting. I ate like 14 donuts for dinner, and I thought I just given myself diabetes.
Look,
I really was afraid that I had got.
Hey, Rhett, you know, normally we don't do this type of thing, but I want to do a react here. I want to do a reaction to a video. I know I want. It's gonna be fun. This is gonna be fun. We're gonna react to this.
Isn't it weird how if you just look at one thing and turn your head side to side, your eyes will move by themselves?
Yes,
Like,
it is. It is awkward because it's trying to focus.
it's weird because I'm not moving my eyes. They're just I'm looking at one thing and moving my head, and they just move by themselves.
Okay, so we're gonna react to this, Rhett, because people call me racist all the time because I love telling racist jokes. I think it's funny to make fun of black people before their fragile egos. So
I think it's really easy to tell who you want to associate. If somebody gets butthurt by a racist joke, that means that they see themselves first and foremost as their race and not an individual, and you probably shouldn't associate with them.
exactly, and I hold that to be true.
I really don't care if someone says a white racial slur. I don't care. They're not talking about me. I mean,
exactly. You know, I don't care too much. You know, I'm actually more offended by black people that say the N-word than I am about white people that say the N-word. Because I feel if you think the word is so offensive, it is more offensive for you to use it than it is for the people that you claim to be taking the word from. And then someone's like, oh, we're taking the word back. And I said, you're taking the word back. It was never your word to begin with. How are you taking it back from the white people?
like people own words or something. Like at the end of the day, words are just words. It depends on what you mean by the words you're saying.
But I'm saying to them, they're like, oh, the N-word was something that we came up with. No, it was never something you came up with. It's not even like we're like it's from people from Nigeria or people from Niger. No, that's not where the word came from. So how can you say that you're taking the word back when black people historically have never used the word? So you're not taking it back from anybody. It just makes no sense. But let's react to this.
It just shows that we have a very childish relationship to language in this country.
Let's react to this because I think it's funny. You know, you might not be able to say as much as I'm going to say because obviously, but if you liked the content I shared with you before, you will love this one.
I love our black folks. We call each other nigga all day. It's in every rap song in the world. Nigga this, nigga that, nigga what want, nigga what, huh, nigga, huh? Nigga, I heard you, nigga what, nigga do, nigga damn, nigga. But if you ain't black and you say the N-word, we snap the fuck off. said nigga on TV. We went on, hell no, nigga. You know that bitch called us niggas on TV? Nigga, you lying. I know that bitch didn't call us nigga. I know we need to do something. Nigga, I know. What you gonna do, nigga? We gonna get down there, nigga. We gonna do some shit, nigga. I know, nigga. I'm with you, nigga. Let's do this shit, nigga.
Obviously since we're reacting, we gotta stop and pause the video every now and again, or we'll get copyrighted. But this is true. This is true. All day long. But then I'm sitting there, in the back seat. My grandmother's driving, and she'll be cursing people out in the car. N-word this, white honky this, blah blah blah, and then get back to the house and be, and then we'll be watching videos, movies, horror, like those horror movies, and we're like, oh, white people, why are white people so stupid? Y'all always got to go investigate something. Stupid ass white people. Let's sit there and talk to the TV, talking about white people, but the black person's the first guy to die in all of the horror movies. But
I don't really know if that stereotype is true. I feel like they just pick out a few examples and then run on that, because the only place I've ever heard that stereotype is from black people. I've never actually seen it in a movie or even looked for it.
I see it in a lot of movies, but it's not so much the black person's always the first one to die, because the slut's usually the first one to die. It's not. It's usually the college kids that are out there kissing in the car, and the killer comes in and kills them. But black people tend to always die in horror movies. Very few of them, but they survive.
Yeah, but white people die in horror movies too.
Yeah,
obviously.
Yeah, more
it's
than
just
black
a weird.
People do.
I don't really like horror movies or watch them that much, but I know for a fact people of all races die in horror movies.
If I watch a horror movie, I prefer a slasher. Slashers are more entertaining than thrillers. So
I just really generally can't stand this. I have to put on a certain lens to think this way, because I really hate talking about black people this, white people this. I hate it.
I know it's so divided, but this is related to Wilford Brittley, and I'll tell you why when we get to the point where I get to make fun of it.
Black folk marched and got Paula Dean fired like a motherfucker. Paula Dean was crying. If there's anybody that's ever said something they really didn't mean, you understand what I'm going through? No, we don't, bitch. We don't understand shit you going through. Get your ass off that goddamn TV. But I felt bad, though, because I like Paula Dean. I ain't gonna lie. Paula Dean, she was the only show on the Food Network I watched, because she cooked shit I ate. Them other motherfucking chefs cook shit I ain't never heard of. Sliced and fused cucumbers with orange marmalade sauce with a sweet potato reduction. What the fuck? How do you reduce a sweet potato? Better put some marshmallows on that son of a bitch and some brown sugar and put it back in the fucking oven. I'll do the reducing.
Did you ever reduce a sweet potato, Rhett?
I only like sweet potato if it's cooked in certain ways. Like
I'm the same way. As I've gotten older, for Thanksgiving we tend to have candied yams, which is really, really sweet with cinnamon and brown sugar, and it has a thick syrupy glaze.
Yeah, I like that.
I can't eat that anymore. I can't eat syrups anymore. As I've gotten older, I hate syrups. I don't even like to eat that much syrup on pancakes nowadays.
What is he talking about? Reduction and all? Like, what the hell was he talking about?
He's like,
fused cucumber and orange.
He said that. He said that the Paula Dean's the only person on the Food Network that cooks stuff he eats, because everybody else is cooking stuff like sliced and fused cucumbers.
Yeah, they do. They do say weird shit like that.
A reduced sweet potato.
Like using chemistry terms. Basically, that's what that is.
Oh, but it's about to get funnier though. Listen to this part.
That's some bullshit. All the Dean Cook shit I heard of, like, you know, double fried chicken smothered in gravy with meat and onions in it, deep fried yams with marshmallows, brown sugar, and bacon inside that mess, wrapped in turkey skin. Damn! That sounds delicious! That sounds so good, I bit my television. My mama came in like, who bit my plasma? Who bit my... That's how black people scratch their head when they don't want to scratch their scalp. Who bit my plasma? About to get that perm, nigga. Shit, Paula Dean cook good. I don't give a fuck what you say. Paula Dean cook good. Paula Dean cook so motherfucking good. She could have had a recipe called "Nigga Eat This." I'd be like, damn, bitch, this is delicious. Fuck it. You like it, nigga? Yes, bitch. Bring me some more.
Oh, yeah, I remember I was at work. I showed this to my coworker. He was working. we were rolling on the floor laughing. Yeah, it's like, you like it? Yeah, bitch, bring me some more.
You know, where I found out about Lavelle Crawford, he was in Breaking Bad.
Oh man,
he was he and the character he played was Huel, and Kubi was his partner, and he was played by Bill Burr. And
oh,
they worked,
that's got to be an awesome combination. I never watched
Yeah.
Breaking Bad before.
Well, they worked for Saul, like they were his fix-it guys. Saul Goodman, the lawyer, played by Bob Odenkirk. But yeah, that's where I first found out about both of them.
I first found out about Bill Burr watching MGTOW videos way back in the day when I was first reading, listening to videos from like Sargon of Akkad and what was the other guy? Thunderfoot or something like that.
But I definitely got into that.
The Amazing
MGTOW world for a
Atheist.
while. The Amazing Atheist used to be so funny.
Yeah, I don't watch him anymore though.
I don't either.
I don't watch Sargon of Akkad anymore either. But that's how I really started to start paying attention to a lot more stuff because of those people. And when the Anita Sarkeesian feminist frequency bullcrap was happening, I used to watch Thunderfoot all the time. He used to make parodies of Anita Sarkeesian's videos all the time. It was funny, and that's when I first got introduced to Bill Burr. That's really how I first got introduced to Thomas Sowell, was through MGTOW. Because people used to play videos of him debunking feminist.
Well, there's so many. MGTOW connects to so many other topics. So yeah, I did watch some of those videos back probably like 2015, 16.
That was around the same time I was doing it, 2015, 2014.
I was working out hard.
My college, I was trying, I spent all my time and effort in high school working out, trying to impress one woman and never succeeded. And so when I'm like the MGTOW, like, okay, it's time, I like this. Men going their own way. What does it really mean? Does it mean that you turn to a
now
faggot?
That group has kind of morphed into the red pill community?
Pretty much.
I watch some of that stuff. I still watch some of that stuff.
Every now and again, I go back and look at some of it because it's still relevant. It's still important because we're talking about the same stuff today that we were talking about 40, 50, 60 years ago. I think that's the reason why so many of the MGTOW people, the red pill people, love Donald Trump so much, because Donald Trump is literally a walking time capsule. He says the exact same crap today that he said in 1980 when he was being interviewed on Oprah Winfrey, when Oprah was asking him to run for president.
I bet she regrets that. But yeah.
He says it in the exact same way, like in 1980s. Oh, China's ripping us left from right. We don't have smart politicians. We don't have smart world leaders. They're not the brightest people in the world. We need smart people to negotiate with China. They're ripping us left and right. Blah blah blah. He says the exact same thing, the same way. It's like the guy's a record that's on repeat.
I wish there was a way to like just make everybody see through his rough exterior and public persona through to what he's actually trying to do.
Watch the videos from the 80s where you had to have a different level of decorum to be on TV.
Yeah, but there's no way to convince everyone at large why he is actually such an important figure in history. And I think most people won't see it until, 50 years from now, maybe more.
Yeah, true. Trump will definitely be dead before he's acknowledged as the greatest president in modern time.
Yeah, I think so. Easily, because he's old. But
he doesn't have that much time left. Well, okay, let me continue here because this is where it gets really funny, and then this is part where I'm going to talk about Wilford Brittley. Lavelle's not going to talk about Wilford Brittley, but I'm going to talk about Wilford Brittley and how me and my coworkers talk about it when we used to play this at work.
You could have had a restaurant called "Come On In, nigga." I'm just.
Let me rewind this a little bit.
Oh, Dean cooked so motherfucking good. She could have had a recipe called "Nigga Eat This." I'd be like, "Damn, bitch, this is delicious." Fuck you like it, nigga? Yes, bitch. Bring me some more. She could have had a restaurant called "Come On In, nigga." I'm just. She had food on the menu like porch monkey pork chops and smothered in greasy nigga gravy with some baby mama mac and cheese. Well, I'll have the porch monkey pork chops with some of that greasy nigga gravy, and I'll take the baby mama mac and cheese. That sounds fantastic. And while you're at it, why don't you give me a large glass of that lazy nigga sweet tea, please?
So see that part right there, the lazy nigga sweet tea. we made that into a thing at work. My entire job was mostly black people there, and we made that into a thing where when we go get sweet tea is not sweet tea if it's not lazy nigga sweet tea. Because you go to a store, you can tell when white people make it. You can tell when white people make it because they measure. Black people don't measure when they put sugar in their sweet tea. We pour about 4 cups of sugar into a pitcher and mix it together. And you have the right consistency when you drink it and you say, "Oh, that's lazy nigga sweet tea. I can see Wilford Brittley on the outside of the door." My vision's gone blurry.
That's so man. It's probably like 700 calories in 1 cup.
And look, it gets even better because some people are so lazy that they use cold water when they make their sweet tea, and so they pour the sugar in there, and you put 4 cups of sugar in there, and the granules of sugar are still floating around in there,
all sandy,
and it's you have that puddle of syrupy sugar at the bottom of the cup. That
sounds horrible.
That's lazy nigga sweet tea. That's Wilford Brittley sweet tea. That's how you know you have contracted diabetes.
Yeah,
when you drink.
That's actually probably that's what gave him diabetes.
Yes,
I'm drinking too many of those.
Yes, and you know what?
And eating so many donuts.
I have a friend of mine. She's a white woman. She's a white woman, but she's from South Carolina, and she never went to a Popeye's chicken before. And so she went to Popeye's chicken and she became addicted to Popeye's chicken. She has to go to Popeye's all the time. And I tell her, I always call her up. I say, "Hey, you went to Popeye's chicken, so you finally get to see the reason why black people are so unhealthy."
Oh, they put the crack in that chicken.
And then I told her, "Did you get the lazy nigga sweet tea?" And she starts laughing.
Yeah, I mean, I like fried chicken, but I just can't. I can't eat it all the time because, well, because I actually have to watch what I eat.
I like
So-
fried chicken, but I prefer baked chicken, baked and grilled chicken. I prefer, because because of the way that I bake it, it's so moist, and plus I hate chicken breast because you go and you fry chicken breast, it's so dry. I prefer thighs. I love dark meat is so much better than white meat. It's much more juicy.
The thighs are, I think the thighs are the best.
Yes, without doubt, they're the best.
I don't like if it's a chicken breast and it's like a big one, I don't like it because it is really dry.
It's really dry, especially because if you go to fast food restaurant, it's been sitting with that heat lamp for so long, and it dries out the moisture in it, and then they deep fry it, and usually they don't put any type of compost or compound butter underneath the skin. And a lot of times they take the skin off. The skin is what really makes it moist. You keep the skin on there and you put the butter underneath the skin when you fry it or you cook it, and it makes the meat more moist. And it lets it keeps its moisture when you put that heavy batter on there. And that's the reason why I don't like. I mean, I like Popeye's chicken sandwich, really, really good, but I dislike it for how heavy the batter is. Like the same reason why I do not like going to fast food restaurants or any restaurant that makes fish and fries fish, because of that breaded batter. It's so much batter. It's like it's fried and there's a vat of air that surrounds the fish, and it's so much batter, so much breading. I hate it. I feel cheated when I eat it because there's so little fish, there's so much bread.
I like the Popeyes chicken sandwich, but I don't think it's worth waiting in line for an hour.
I don't think it's.
I like Chick-fil-A better.
I don't think it's worth the murder that happened over it.
Or that I prefer Chick-fil-A over the Popeyes chicken sandwich.
I prefer Chick-fil-A because I don't like their buns. I don't like Chick-fil-A's buns. I like Popeyes has a better crunch to their chicken, but that's because of the batter. But the reason why I like Chick-fil-A's chicken better, chicken sandwich better, is the seasoning. Popeye's seasoning is so salty, I dislike it. And because I don't like I don't like mayonnaise on my sandwiches, so I have nothing when I eat the sandwich to get rid of that salt, that salty taste. It's so salty that I just
I like Chick-fil-A's chicken is like sweet, a little bit of sweetness to it.
Yeah, but I wish Chick-fil-A used a different bun though. The bun.
Well, they had two different ones.
Yeah, they need to use a brioche bun. The bun that Popeyes has and the chicken from Chick-fil-A, you put those things together, and you have the perfect chicken sandwich, in my opinion. You need that the bun needs to have the sweetness in it, and then your seasoning, lightly seasoned, salt, pepper, whatever other special seasons you want on there, but your seasoning needs to be just where you can taste it in the background. Because if you bite into chicken, like a Popeye's chicken sandwich, like if you go eat Popeye's chicken, the regular, I like to get the spicy, but if you go eat the regular, thigh or chicken wing, you can taste the chicken. You eat the chicken sandwich, you taste the seasoning before you taste the chicken, and the seasoning lingers in your mouth. I don't like that. So when you bite into meat, you should be able to taste the meat, and the seasoning comes in the background just to give it a nice little kick. Like, oh, they used freshly cracked black pepper in there. I can taste it, but it shouldn't overpower everything. And so that's sort of how I feel about it. You put that on there, and your condiments should have some seasoning in it. I prefer barbecue sauce and mustard on my chicken sandwiches. No mayonnaise. I hate mayonnaise. I don't like mayonnaise as a condiment. But let's see. I think that's it.
Shit. While they cook her ass off. I've been to her restaurant and everything. One time I was watching her show. I used to watch it on the regular. She was on there one time. She was making that lasagna. She said, okay, I got the pasta, I got the sauce and the meat. And after these messages, I'm gonna put on the cheese. I said, ooh, bitch, don't go no commercial. Put that cheese on now. I can't wait to no commercial, brother. Stop playing with it, brother. Do that motherfucking cheese right now. Brother, come on, stop playing with me. I can't wait for that damn commercial. I can't wait. Don't do me like that.
Oh, but man, I love the Bell Crawford. The Bell Crawford is hilarious. Did you see that? Did you see that Trump one I sent you when he saw me call Donald Trump?
Yeah, I saw it.
That
We're getting
that was,
about to 9:30 or so.
oh, are we really that late in here?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we've had a pretty nice show today. Pretty nice show. So
I almost feel like we should, you remember back when I first came on the show and we pretty much every episode was just talking about whatever,
yeah,
and it seemed to flow a whole lot better than this. I mean, I understand we got to do the whole news thing, but man, even once a week is a lot.
and
for the-
it's become, because the time that we're in, it's so taxing, it's so depressing, it makes you angry because it makes you question humanity, that people could be so stupid that they voted for this guy.
And we're in an election year too. I mean, I have a feeling probably 2024 might be more fun, because usually presidential election years are more exciting.
No, they aren't. The
Well,
only
it
reason
depended. I mean,
the only
2016 was.
the only reason why 2016 was fun was because of Donald Trump. Donald Trump was the reason why most of us were tuned in. Most of us on who are more on the right side of the spectrum tuned in was because Donald Trump, he made watching politics entertaining. I used to watch the State of the Union, and I used to watch Obama's speeches. I was so bored watching it. I was never bored watching a Donald Trump speech.
Well, the reason why 2024 is there's just so much on the line. So if Trump runs again, it could be better than this year.
If he doesn't run
I
again,
think
it could be another.
2023, we have state elections coming up, governor and all that.
Those are very important because Tate Reeves sucks.
He's going to win. Well, you know how it is in Mississippi.
Yeah.
It's a neocon stronghold.
Yeah. At least we finally managed to get rid of Palazzo. At what cost? We'll find out. But yeah, I feel 2023, 2024 is going to be very interesting, because we're at a point where if Donald Trump runs, it's going to be a hellfire. The leftist media is going to be all over the place. The right media is going to be all over the place. I mean, they accused Donald Trump rallies of being violent during 2016 and throughout his entire presidency, when they really weren't. But I feel like if he runs in 2024 for president, there will probably be some violence. I think they're going to. I think without shadow of a doubt that anti-Trumpers will show up, and it's just going to be, like a civil war in the middle of the street, people just punching each other. And if the FBI prevents Donald Trump from being able to run, that's it's over. Dissolution of the union.
And well, we got DeSantis. Maybe he can. I don't know.
DeSantis is really going.
I feel like DeSantis will be harder to beat than Trump.
I don't know. I still feel like Trump is a better in DeSantis, but DeSantis, he's clearly the runner-up, because right now there is nobody else. We've said this so much. on the Democrat side, you can put your hand in the hat and pull out any establishment Democrat and put them on there. I mean, obviously we know Pete Buttigieg is going to be running. We know Kamala Harris is going to try to run again. We know Cory Booker's going to try to run again. We know Bernie's going to run again. We know that there are calls for AOC. I don't think she's going to run, but there's calls for AOC to run. Andrew Cuomo said he might run. People are trying to get what's his name? Gavin Newsom to run for president, which would be horrible. The Democrats, you can reach your hand in the bag and anybody you pull out will be this exact same carbon copy candidate. But with the Republican side, there's only two people, three people that I can think of feasible. Donald Trump, obviously, Ron DeSantis, and Rand Paul.
Yeah, I don't think Rand Paul is presidential material though.
I think he belongs where he's at in the Senate.
I mean, he might be a decent vice president, but I just don't see him as an in charge kind of, I don't see him as a president.
He got attacked to the point where he almost died. I don't think, obviously Secret Service would be around him if he was president or vice president, but Rand Paul doesn't have the authority. Clearly you can tell. You go back, you watch the Trump debates, the candidate debates for 2016, how Trump just kind of cupped all of them. His dominance just kind of made them all bow down. And when Rand Paul's turn came up, he just kind of folded in the face of Trump.
I don't think DeSantis would do that.
Yeah, I think
DeSantis could stand up to it.
I think DeSantis has learned from Trump's example, and DeSantis clearly has more political savvy than Donald Trump. This is what I think. Tell me if you think I'm wrong. DeSantis is to Ben Franklin as Trump is to John Adams.
I don't.
Well, John Adams was clearly instrumental, but he was so passionate, but he was horrible as a diplomat. He did not play the game of politics well. Benjamin Franklin was very much passionate like John Adams, but was the ultimate diplomat. He played the game of politics to perfection. And I think that DeSantis plays politics well like Franklin, and Trump is very boisterous and passionate like Adams.
I don't know if I would compare Trump to John Adams. I mean, I feel like Trump has more of a, obviously he's not around, so I can't say, but I feel like Trump has more of a imposing kind of intimidation to him. John Adams was kind of a small guy and he wasn't very popular. He didn't win re-election.
Donald Trump, a lot of people don't talk about his imposing stature. Donald Trump is like 6'3". Donald Trump is taller than Vince McMahon. And when they're both wearing their suits the way they are, Vince McMahon's a slow guy for 76 years old. And Donald Trump Vince McMahon has to look up at Donald Trump, and Vince McMahon's not a small guy. So I think that plays a lot into it, that Donald Trump gets a lot more because he has a much bigger stature.
Well, most presidents, I mean, at least in modern history, have been 6 feet or above. But I think it does have something to do with the presence.
Donald Trump.
I think Reagan was probably like 6'2". Obama was 6'1" or 6'2". I don't know about Bush. I think he's like 5'11". But height definitely plays a role.
Donald Trump, it's because he's been a reality star for so long. He knows how to steal the room when he walks in. Everything becomes around about him when he walks in. I mean, people are still talking about when he pushed the prime minister out of the way, popped his collar. It's like, hey, America coming through, get out of the way, and then started talking to other people like he didn't just push that guy out of the way to get in front of the camera. You know, he clearly has a presence about him. And I guess you could say Donald Trump has the same type of presence that you would say a Theodore Roosevelt. Uh,
Yeah, I think that's pretty accurate.
a Ronald Reagan type, though Ronald Reagan was
I
clearly
think
nicer.
Theodore Roosevelt's more, it's for some reason when you said it, it just sounded correct.
Yeah,
That's a good comparison.
yeah, it kind of rings me quite well, especially uh the Robin Williams version of Theodore Roosevelt from Night in the Museum. Did you ever watch that movie?
Yeah.
Yeah. Robin Williams was,
He looks like a weirdie.
Robin Williams. I missed the guy. He was excellent. He was excellent comic, and maybe that's what's missing. I actually that is what's missing in politics right now is actual real comedy. Late shows and late night comedy shows, Saturday night skits. None of them are any good. None of them are funny. None of them they are all horrible. I think there's a lack of that comedic element that brings us together because laughing brings everybody together. When you can sit back and enjoy things. I mean, one of the best parts about I think what Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton did after the election. Well, no, I think it was slightly before the election when when they have the roast of the presidential candidates every year, every presidential election or whatever it was, and they had that roast, and Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump had to roast each other uh there. That was
Don't remember that.
that was awesome. Well, you don't remember it? Let me see if
If
I
I
can
saw
find
it,
it.
I might. I don't.
Let's see. Let me see if I can find it, and then we'll end on this presidential 2016 roast. Let me see. Yeah, here it is. Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. They're roasting. I want to play the Donald Trump one. Hillary did a good job too. I actually laughed at some of hers too, but it's a very long thing, so I'm only going to play one. Oh, and not even the whole thing, just part of one. We'll skip across it a lot. So yeah, let me share the screen again. Screen number 2. All right, this one right here. This is the Smith dinner, and here's the roast. Donald Trump's roast Hillary Clinton, and then Hillary roast him afterwards.
Thank you, Al. Wow. That was good. This is a hell of a dinner. Well, I want to thank Your Eminence. This is really great to be with you again. We love it. Governor Cuomo, our great senators. Hi, Chuck. He used to love me when I was a Democrat, Mayor de Blasio, wherever you are. Where's Mayor de Blasio? Huh? Hello, Mayor. Come on. See, in the old days, I would have known him very well, but I haven't been doing so much of the real estate anymore. And I want to thank Al and Nan Smith. Just a fantastic job you do with the dinner, and congratulations on a record. Over $6 million, right? This is their record. And A special hello to all of you in this room who have known and loved me for many, many years. It's true. The politicians. They've had me to their homes. They've introduced me to their children. I've become their best friends in many instances. They've asked for my endorsement, and they always wanted my money. And even called me really a dear, dear friend. But then, suddenly, decided when I ran for president as a Republican that I've always been a no-good, rotten, disgusting scoundrel. And they totally forgot about me. But that's okay. You know, they say when you do this kind of an event, you always start out with a self-deprecating joke. Some people think this would be tough for me, but the truth is, the truth is I'm actually a modest person, very modest. It's true. In fact, many people tell me that modesty is perhaps my best quality. Even better than my temperament. You know, Cardinal Dolan and I have some things in common. For instance, we both run impressive properties on Fifth Avenue. Of course, his is much more impressive than mine. That's because I built mine with my own beautifully formed hands. While his was built with the hands of God, and nobody can compete with God. Is that correct? Nobody, right? That's right. No contest.
You know, I want to point out something here. In the I don't know, maybe because I wasn't really watching, paying attention because we were still in school. But Donald Trump is really the only politician, if you want to call him that. I mean, he is a politician now, that ever actually mentions God anymore.
Yeah, it seems so disingenuous when he does. It seems like he's just doing it just to do it.
Like I never hear any of the other politicians mention God, and
Honestly, I could do without it, because every time I hear anybody say anything about it, I'm just like, come on now. You're just saying that just because you want to say it, just to get some votes. I honestly prefer it if they just didn't, because I don't believe it's real, ever.
I like it when they say God, because God's important.
So you
to
like
me.
being lied to?
No,
Because you know why they're doing it. You know it's not real.
Oh, I can point out and sniff out when it's not real, but
Which is every time.
I just pay attention to the fact that he's really the only one. I mean, Nancy, she likes to call upon God, but then, Nancy, come on. Nancy calls herself a Catholic.
You know what I don't understand either? Remember that during the debate and he said something about his hands?
Yeah.
And then his hands really are kind of small. They're really not big.
I know his hands for his body size, his hands
really
are
small.
relatively small. He's like 6'3".
Stupid. I wouldn't be showing him off like that if my hands were that small, dude. Like, why are you doing that?
What he said on the debate stage. He says
Yeah.
people say my hands are small and something else has to be small. It's like, oh, there's no problem that I can tell you.
Yeah, but then he showed his hands and everybody was like, yeah, there probably is. Anyway. We can't listen to this whole thing.
Oh, we're not going to. We're going to skip around. I can think about right here.
What's great about the Al Smith dinner?
Let's go right here.
Hillary accidentally bumped into me, and she very civilly said,
oh wait, I gotta read.
Heated back and forth.
Here we go. This is the funniest part.
My opponent and me at the debate last night.
This was the funniest moment of that.
We have proven
I remember how much I laughed.
Actually be civil to each other. In fact, just before taking the dais, Hillary accidentally bumped into me, and she very civilly said, "Pardon me."
I do remember that.
And I very politely replied, "Let me talk to you about that after I get into office."
I remember that one. I laughed so much. I was like, "Oh, Trump really went there."
Just kidding, just kidding. And Hillary was very gracious.
He's not kidding. No.
She said if somehow she gets elected, she wants me to be, without question, either her ambassador to Iraq or to Afghanistan. It's my choice.
This happened in
But one
October,
of
I
the
want to
things I
say.
noticed tonight, and I've known Hillary for a long time, this is the first time ever, that Hillary is sitting down and speaking to major corporate
This is the
leaders
funny one too.
and not getting paid for it.
She's laughing, but she knows it's true.
It's true.
You know, last night I called Hillary a nasty woman.
Oh yeah, I remember this one too. Because Donald
But
Trump
this stuff is all
hates
relevant.
Rosie O'Donnell.
After listening to Hillary rattle on and on and on, I don't think so badly of Rosie O'Donnell anymore. In fact, I'm actually starting to like Rosie a lot.
Oh yeah. Well, we'll stop after this one. I think this is going to be the funniest, one of the
These
funniest
events
ones.
give not only the candidates a chance to be with each other in a very social setting, it also allows the candidates the opportunity to meet the other candidate's team.
Yeah, watch this part. This is, I remember this. This
I
was
know
so
Hillary
funny
met
because it's
my
true.
campaign
It's
manager,
true even right now.
and I got the chance to meet the people who are working so hard to get her elected. There they are, the heads of NBC, CNN, CBS, ABC. There's the New York Times right over there, and the Washington Post. They're working overtime. True.
And but
Actually, nothing that he said was a joke at all.
it was not. It really wasn't a joke.
Those
It
are
was
the
so-
best jokes are the ones that are just so true that you wouldn't be able to say it in any other setting.
It was so like when I was watching it, as it was happening, I was like, he really went there. There's no stopping this guy. He's a genius. But I missed that type of humor in our politics. That was
I'm
the
pretty
best
sure
part.
I watched like every event on live TV that election year.
I'm pretty sure I did too. I watched all of the debates, even the Democrat ones. I watched all of the debates. I watched all of the Hillary versus Trump debates because it was thoroughly entertaining to watch. It really was. It was a spectacle. But I liked it that way because I felt like you were able to see the candidates in their realest. And I think that's why Donald Trump won over so many people, because when he was debating Hillary was clearly rehearsed. Whereas when they did town hall debates, Trump was just coming off real. When he does little whips, he's like Donald doesn't have a temperament, the temperament to be president. And then Donald Trump, he's not supposed to be speaking, but he just sits there. That's because you'd be in jail. And then walks away. Like,
Yeah, and then he didn't put her in jail.
He should.
I understand why, but
I miss that type of environment. But I don't, honestly, given what we saw during the 2020 debates, I don't think we'll ever get that type of debate format again. And I think I think we need that type of debate format in order to make politics enjoyable to watch, because people need to watch it so that they can know what they're voting for. But we've been doing this too long. So with that, let's go ahead and bring this show to an end. Follow us on Facebook, follow us on YouTube, follow us on Rumble, follow us on Twitter, on Truth Social. Share and download our content. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, everywhere that you can find us. Disturb America PW, Disturb America with Payson Williams. Also, bear in mind that we were going to be coming up with a new name relatively shortly. We don't know when we're going to have one, but we're going to be thinking of a new name to kind of streamline this more into what we want to talk about. But with that, we will see you guys next time, tomorrow evening. What numbers are we doing? 22 to 29? No, 23 to 29. All right. So the Federalist Papers 22 through 23 through 29, and we're going to have a wonderful, wonderful time doing it. And we hope that you guys are learning a lot from these, and we're going to be doing the anti-Federalist Papers. Once we're done with these, we're going to be doing the anti-Federalist Papers. And these are strictly for your education. And so we hope that you enjoy them. And stay tuned. We're good. We have a lot of plans coming up. We'll see you guys next time.